The world of fashion has millions of faces, but for us, many of them are out of sight and mostly out of mind.
They can work for as little as 13 cents an hour. It's not enough to make a living wage, and that's what we don't see.
Fashion is a $27 billion industry in Australia, and per capita we spend about $1,350 each year on clothes, more than both the US and the EU. On average, just 4% of the price of an item sold here goes to the workers who made it, and 80% of those workers are women aged 18 to 25.
A whole other world of women work 15 to 17 hours a day. They work 7 days a week. They work to quotas that continue to get higher. Their bodies are usually ruined by the time they're 40. I think that divide between her world in the fashion industry and my world in the fashion industry is too great for a $5 t-shirt.
Stylist Kirsty Milligan is petitioning the federal government to introduce compulsory standardised labelling on all clothes sold in Australia.
It's not a big ask. It's not an unrealistic expectation. There's precedent. We have done this before. We have energy labels to tell us about energy of our appliances. And I think that as consumers, we deserve to know if things that we are buying are harming the planet, harming people, or harming animals.
So what goes into making the t-shirts we buy? It all begins on cotton farms, which produce more than 25 million tonnes of cotton each year. These are sent to textile mills, generally in third world countries, where machines spin the cotton into yarn and eventually into fabric. The fabric then travels to factories in countries like China, Vietnam and Bangladesh, where enormous cheap workforces toil around the clock, stitching the t-shirts together for as little as $100 a month. Mills and factories are notoriously unsafe, and about 1,900 people have been killed in fires and building collapses since 2005 in Bangladesh alone. The finished items are then shipped to stores around the world, ready for us, the consumers, at a markup of up to 60%.
The fashion supply chain is actually highly complex. We're looking at an industry that employs over 60 million people. It traverses almost every country on earth. Environmental issues and labour rights concerns vary from country to country.
Just this week, shoppers at fashion retailer Zara in Istanbul found tags in clothes that read, "I made this item you are going to buy, but I didn't get paid for it." The most shocking incident in the history of the garment industry was the 2013 Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh, which killed more than 1,100 people. Despite expert warnings the building was unsafe, workers were forced to keep sewing for brands such as Benetton, Primark and Mango.
That really acted as a clarion call for the industry, for all of us to realise that we had to do a lot more for the workers in the global fashion supply chain.
Within months of the disaster, Fashion Revolution was born.
One of our biggest campaigns is the Who Made My Clothes social media campaign, where we connect consumers with the brands that they love and they get to ask the questions of where did my clothes come from, who made my clothes, and encouragingly we saw over 2,500 brands respond to that question this year, with 2 million people taking part.
To help people shop ethically, Gordon Renouf created the Good On You app, which rates brands on issues like labour rights and environmental impact.
We made it because we want to empower consumers to shop their values, to act on the issues they care about. So whether you want to or not, we will rate your brand and inform shoppers about how they're doing.
And his data shows Australian brands at both ends of the scale, from unethical to ethical.
There is a common thought process that if you say ethical fashion, that people are wearing Hessian bags. You really can get anything. You can get your whole wardrobe.
And research shows that doubling factory workers' wages would only add about $2 to the labour cost of a t-shirt.
As a consumer, we would like to do the right thing. I always think about the comparison of caged eggs. If we wouldn't buy eggs from chickens in a cage, why would we buy clothes from people making them in a cage?